I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you'll please rise, we'll say the pledge together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to call the meeting to call the roll.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Gulladye?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes.
Dr. Vernon?
Yes, thank you. And I'd like to welcome everyone this evening. You all look wonderful. We have a nice group this evening, so thank you so much for coming. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the February meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Gulladye. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Getzmann. Were there any corrections? Okay, hearing none, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gulladye?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Dr. Vernon?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And there are no commendations and communications, and there's no public participation, so. Winoke is up. We're looking forward to this, so. The best
are
part of our
too.
meeting.
No pressure, too. You want to pull that up for me? Good. Thank you. All right, it's an honor and a privilege, as always, to be in front of you. And I would like to say we have some very special guests with us this evening. Some of our fifth graders. I've got Bristol here, I've got Keaton, and I've got Gabby as well. And we're going to be sharing a little bit about our service learning project that we're completing in fifth grade. We also have Mrs. Humphrey, our fifth grade teacher, Mrs. Rice, and Mrs. Sims in attendance as well. And they've been working really hard with our fifth graders in this, on this service learning project. All right, thanks, Ted. Thank you. So project-based learning really is identifying a problem. And what we had discussed as a group is what makes Mount Vernon so special. And we kept coming back to the people. It's the people in Mount Vernon that make it so special in their giving nature. So the students had identified that they want to develop a project to give back to the community. So we also are providing student voice and choice. This was not a project that was created by the teachers, but rather the students identified areas in the community, which you'll hear about in a moment, that really meant something to them. Then, we are actually in May, our students are going to be completing the service learning project out in the community, which you'll hear more about too in just a moment. So really, project-based learning is identifying a problem that's meaningful to you, having that authentic voice and choice in it, but we've also been tasked by Mr. Cedar to really bump up our learning, okay? You probably heard that quite a bit, bump it up. And really looking at Daggett's model of instruction, the authentic part is really what bumps it up. Taking that content knowledge and applying it to a real world scenario. So, we also discussed kind of this portrait of a graduate. What is it that our employers are wanting from our students when they graduate? They're really looking for individuals that are able to communicate, to think creatively and critically, to be able to collaborate with their peers, to build character and have that content knowledge. And we feel that this service learning project really envelops all of these areas. So I've got some questions here because nobody really wants to hear from me anyway. They want to hear from the kiddos. So I'm going to ask some questions if you guys don't mind. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Keaton, if you don't mind, would you tell us a little bit about some of the projects fifth grade groups have identified in order to support our community?
Well, we have identified 4 major areas that we need to work on. So one is pet shelters, providing what they need, as in food and supplies, and parks, cleaning them up, making it a safe environment. one group identified skate parks, cleaning up graffiti, maybe fixing some equipment, and nursing homes, doing activities with them, doing arts and crafts, meeting with them, just listening to them, mainly making their day brighter. And my group in particular is doing a food drive just in the parking lot of Twin Oak. So we'll have a structure that can hold non-perishable foods so that people can come by, get the foods they need to have a meal.
Thank you. So, if you don't mind, thank you, Keaton. So Bristol, if you don't mind, could you maybe share with us the process that you guys use to come up with these ideas?
So first, we were writing on a Post-it note what we were good at or talented at.
Good. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
And then we wrote down also what issues did we care about in our community and what does our community need.
Now with this, Bristol, if you don't mind, I see a lot of ideas up here. Were you guys able to select all of them to complete?
No, we found common issues that we thought that our community needed to work on, and we combined them together kind of, and we made 3 groups in each class.
Excellent, thank you. And here are some other examples as well that the students had identified. And can you tell us who this is?
This is Miss Howley. Miss Humphrey and Miss Howley were brainstorming with some kids.
And you know who Miss Hallie works for?
No, I forgot.
Okay, she's with the United Way. So we have partnered with the United Way here. And Ms. Krasinski here really has served as kind of the intermediary between some of our community partners and the school. Good. And we'll skip that. These are some other ideas that the students had identified as well. And there's Ms. Krasinski. She actually came into each one of our 5th grade classes and worked on this brainstorming with the students of ideas. And the video that I wanted to share that we're having some technical difficulty with actually showed Ms. Krasinski and Mrs. Humphrey working with a group of students. The students had been learning about microplastics, and they had identified maybe utilizing some of the old Kroger bags or Meyer bags and tying them together, actually knitting them to create a vapor barrier for our homeless population. So that way they had something between them and the ground as well. So those were some of the conversations that were taking place. And here are some more examples as well. And so we identified the areas in which we wanted to support our community. We talked about the process in which we went through. Gabby, what was the next step?
The next step was to identify the individuals in charge of the area of the community we were focusing on, and we were practicing writing professional emails. And once they were developed, we sent them out asking what they needed and hoping for a response.
Absolutely. So really with this project too, we're taking some of the content areas and we're really integrating it into the project. We aren't utilizing time outside of, we're not pulling students during reading or writing or math or science. We're looking at our STEM time, and that's really the time that we're bringing in and integrating all of these different content areas. Thank you, Gabby. All right, Keaton, so we've identified the areas, we've talked about the process, we've talked about the professional emails to our community partners. What's the next step?
The next step is finding out what materials we need for like parks, cleaning them up clothes, and like the tongue trash things. And for pet shelters, maybe like dog and cat food, toys, and then for like skate parks, paint for cleaning up graffiti. And then my group in particular, needing to build our food drive pantry stand, we're gonna need lumber to build the structure. We're gonna need tools. And most importantly, we're gonna need someone who can build it. Mr. Seagull, so you're.
Maybe we can talk later. All right. So, with that being said, once we have the items, what is it that we need to do next, Bristol?
Next, we needed to see how much of them items we need and how much they cost so that we knew what budget to ask for. And we have money, but
Gabby, do you
Gabby's
want
going
to tell us? So these items aren't free, are they, guys? They cost money, we gotta develop a budget. But where's the money gonna come from?
We're making grants using a template, and we're giving them to our PTO and the Mount Vernon Teachers Union because they have supplied us with $500.
Absolutely. So our students are actually writing mini grants right now. So they're taking that writing and they're integrating it again through these mini grants that they're applying for.
I wouldn't be surprised if you wrote a grant to the board. They might have.
Maybe we could do that too. That's a great idea. All right, and
Could I ask, have you
Yeah.
thought about maybe partnering with the Career Center to see if Building Trades would maybe build it for you? Have you thought about that?
Well, we have talked about in my class, we did talk about maybe getting in touch with the Career Center and seeing if they could help us build.
So you don't need me anymore?
we'll take all the help.
I'll take it, yeah.
Are there any questions?
Yes, thank you, all of you. When you're in the STEM program and you're working on these items, do you write about them? Do you write a story or a plan that you're working on as part of the whole curriculum?
Well, we're in groups and we kind of meet together every STEM time to meet up with our group. We are writing letters right now for the emails and stuff, and
we kind of discussed with them what we think that would help our community. And we have there's three places in our community that we thought need to work on, and we split into groups and we discussed about them three communities.
So it's helping not just your writing, but also your communication skills,
yes.
isn't it? Great, wonderful.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting with this is that based on those interests, we have groups of students that may not necessarily have typically worked together. And so it's providing them the opportunity to collaborate with peers they may not otherwise collaborate with too.
Excellent.
And I'm very impressed with your public speaking skills.
Yes.
Good
Great
job.
group.
Anything else you want to hear?
Yeah, so right here you can see this is one of our groups that's actually researching the contact information for the nursing facilities. And so it's my understanding that you guys have reached out to, what is it, Northern Star?
Brookdale.
Brookdale, okay. So I was wrong in that area. But they're doing research themselves too. So they're building, they're building their budgets in terms of their math skills. It's that application piece. They're writing grants. They're really writing, these professional emails too. But when we look at that whole kind of portrait of a graduate, we're really getting them to think critically and creatively as well. And it's not going to be perfect. That's what's wonderful about this project, and we've explained that. There are going to be learning opportunities along the way. Nothing goes perfectly as planned, and that's a wonderful learning opportunity for all of us. And I think we found that even through the processes we've worked through as well. Now, in May, our students are going to be going out in the community and actually completing these projects. And we would love to provide a formal invite to our board members as well. If you'd like to join us, we'd love to have you.
That's happening, yes.
So I'll be in contact with more details as well if you're interested.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Any other questions?
We just wish you all the success.
Thank you very much. And
Before you leave, do you have parents with you that you can
Yes.
introduce?
Mhm.
Would you like to introduce them now?
My mom is right there in the third row.
Would you ask me?
My mom and grandma are in the back row and my brother.
My parents are right there in the third row with my sister.
Great.
Thank you guys so much for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
I'll tell you, Gabby, Bristol and Keaton, great job.
You.
You really did a good job. And if you don't know by now, and it's not a secret anymore, Mr. Mowry is in his second year and just doing amazing things at Twin Oak. And we've got a great staff there. And so thank you, Adam, for your work. And what you're
Thank you.
doing. Now we have a celebrity.
One more, while we're on Twin Oak, I had the pleasure of having Mr. Mowry at preschool coming in and observing some of his incoming kindergarten students. So there's nothing better for him to be able to see them in their environment as he's laying out his class schedules. So I know, I'm sure your teachers appreciate that. I know we appreciate being able to be a part of that as well. So
Thank you.
thank you for that as well. Yes. Sorry, Ella, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well,
Thank you.
We're pleased to welcome Ella, Senior Class President, and also the 2023 Forum Queen. We'll share some information about that in a little bit, but Ella, thank you. Tell us what's going on at high school.
Very exciting. All right, so our spring sports are starting up as it is spring. So we have our boys tennis team has begun practice, as well as track and field, baseball, softball, and our boys volleyball team. So the boys tennis team had their first home event. It's on March 25th, which is their Jacket Invitational. Track has their first meet on March 25th away at Riverview, but their first home event is April 11th. And then varsity baseball has their first home game on March 28th versus Ashland, and varsity softball has their first home game March 28th versus Ashland as well. And then boys varsity volleyball had their first home game on March 10th, but their next home quad is March 25th at the field house here. And last weekend, the wrestling team ended their season very strongly, and they had 3 state placers, Alex Taylor, Brock Blankenhorn, and Emma Reinhardt. And then head coach Corey Fireball won Coach of the Year, so that's really cool. And then our robotics team had 2 teams in the recent state competition earlier this month. One team was ranked 19th, and the other team was ranked 27th out of 96 total high school teams, so that's pretty good. And then both teams made it to the round of 16 elimination tournament, and they had a successful season. The robotics team is also led by Mrs. Darcy Hahn. And then our competition cheer team made it to state, the D2 state competition, and they were state runner-up, so that's also really cool. And then for the wrestling, there was also a school record of 11 district qualifiers and 2 district alternates, so a lot of record breaking. So, and as Mr. Cedar said, this past weekend was MVHS's Forum Show, and we had over 1,000 attendees, and then Steve Farmer was awarded Teacher of the Year, and then all 25 performances were very outstanding, so that was really cool. And Tyler Davidson made it to state diving and placed 28. And recently, senior Ben Bridges committed to Marshall to play golf, and senior Tyler Davidson committed to Cleveland State to be part of their diving team. Brooklyn Thayer and Nevada Williams both committed to Walsh for their track and field team. Jack Crego committed to Otterbein for track. Kennedy Ansley committed to Otterbein for softball. And Anna Summerfield committed to Tiffin University to play soccer. So that's all our recent commitments. And then this week is our first week of the new quarter. So seniors are getting in that graduation student line. And student government also, we're adding our final touches for planning prom. So that's for getting prizes and decorations. So I've enjoyed that a lot. And then our prom is May 13th, and senior National Honor Society members are working hard to get their hours in by April 30th in order to get that corp. So, and then 140 members of our band, choir, and orchestra are traveling to Florida this spring break, and each ensemble will perform at Universal Studios Orlando on Sunday, April 2nd. There will be a send-off concert at the theater on Wednesday, March 29th at 6:30 p.m. And their musical is Cinderella, which is cool, and it's on April 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. And they have a Tops and Pops Jazz concert, which is following on the April 28th. And Ski Club Boots and Bindings, led by Mrs. Keaton, just finished a successful season of skiing and snowboarding at snow trails with a total of 70 participants. And then 2 weeks ago, seniors were delivered their caps and gowns in preparation for graduation, and there are 11 days remaining to buy this year's school yearbook at a reduced price. So, that's all I have.
That's a
That was a
lot.
lot. Great job.
Yeah.
Now, you moved location of prom this year, is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Where is it at this year?
It's gonna be at the Rusty River Barn in Utica, which kind of lucked out. It's very gorgeous. So,
Yes. Yeah.
I think soon Mrs. McClure will take us to visit and see how we're gonna plan the decorations and
Right.
stuff. So, yeah, something to look forward to. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, Ella.
Busy gal, right? Thank you. I didn't see Mrs. Thompson and Mr. Lang, and there was no public participation, so. Good.
We do have a number of additions to the agenda for this evening, and they're noted there in item B, facility use request for St. Vincent, and a couple of contract requests there for Mr. Mounts and Mrs. Johnson. So those are added to the sections of the agenda as you'll see them. Under superintendent's report, I do have a district update, and really it's a lot of what Ella shared. Time between, I should have had you just narrate. There's not a lot happened between our February meeting and our March meeting, but there's a lot of opportunities, and every time you start something like congratulations, you always worry you miss some folks along the way, but this is the most recent that we have. So congratulations are in order for a lot of different groups, of which Ella had mentioned. Our Mount Vernon cheer competition squad, they were state runner-ups, and so you know, to be second in the state is a pretty nice accomplishment. Congratulations to the ladies. Alex Taylor, as was mentioned, Alex is a freshman. And to be a freshman and to wrestle at the 215-pound weight class, where quite frankly, those look more like Greek bodybuilders at that level, and they're mostly upperclassmen and seniors. For him to place third as a freshman is quite a feat, and I think it's the first time we've had a third place finisher in a good number of years. But we also had a couple other placers. Brock Blankenhorn was sixth place at 106 pounds, and then Emma Reinhardt placed for the second time at the state competition, and she took seventh. So congratulations to those folks on their state level competition. We did have band, choir, and orchestra all went to Granville for an OMEA competition. And among that entire group, we had 23 superior ratings. That's the highest you can get, 21 excellent ratings. So really doing some amazing things in our fine arts programs as well. This weekend was the Forum Show, and I got to tell you, I've been able to attend for the last 10 years. I thought that this year had probably as much talent as I'd ever seen. We've always had great talent, but from beginning to end, it just was really, really top notch. And oftentimes I'll sit down with the program and I try to look towards our senior citizens luncheon where I want to try to invite some folks back. And all of a sudden, I mean, I'm starting to check off a lot of folks, which I can't just recreate the Forum Show, but what an amazing group. So this is the 2022 Mount Vernon High School Forum Court. Beautiful young ladies, lots of color there. And then, of course, we have someone pretty special. Ella was the Forum Queen. That was awfully nice to see them kind of do their thing. You know, the Forum Show is really kind of a talent show, but it also brings in this kind of pomp and circumstance of, you know, beautiful dresses and gentlemen all dressed up, some choreography and dancing, and so it was really kind of special to kind of blend that in. It is a talent piece, so show us your talent a little bit here. We had dancers, and jumping higher than Mr. Hankins has ever jumped over there on the left. We had some bands performances in the middle of that. We had cheerleaders joined us. We had baton twirling. We had a tough time getting a good picture of baton throwing because it was all done with black lights. And, you know, and so it was a little challenging. We had some amazing singers. We had the senior chorus. Of course, I don't know who that is there, but they did some neat little skits in their work. We had some amazing musicians from piano to a variety of instruments. The drum line came and joined us. And again, they did something very similar to the baton throwing. Boom, lights went out. They fancied up their drums and, you know, blew our eardrums out. Always kind of fun to have inside. So that was really neat. Just a couple quick updates. We do have a delayed start on Monday the 27th. It kind of continues along the line. Just a 2-hour delay to help us move towards completing our new reading courses of the science of reading. And believe it or not, spring break is right around the corner, 2 weeks away. And that'll be April 3rd through the 8th. Also coming up, right around April 20th is our Senior Citizen Spring Luncheon. The administrators, we're beginning to put together our spring newsletter. That should be coming out right around the 1st of April. This will be posted in that as well. But it's a great opportunity for us to invite our senior citizens in and to share some of the exciting things that are going on. In the fall, we had it right here in this building, and it made it very handy for in and out. We are moving it back over to the high school in the spring, and primarily because the auditorium has been completely kind of redone, and some of these performances that I want to share with our senior citizens, they need the stage, and they need, you know, they need that ability. Ella mentioned that Cinderella is our musical coming up. Ironically, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, I think, is the Cinderella musical. So we're even looking to have a small snippet of the Cinderella musical for our seniors on that day as well. We've been averaging about 250 plus. And again, it's we just welcome our seniors. It's free to them. And they just give Jessica a call, and she loves getting that information. So those are some things that are going on in our district update. Just wanted to share with you.
Thank you.
As we kind of move on down to board policies, I shared this in the board update. This is still under items for information. So twice a year, we meet with our Neola partners. They're our policy maker, and they share with us new updates and new policies. And they came to us, to Gary and I, in March, and we sat down and looked at all those policies. Interestingly enough, the month before, in February, we had a list of about 6 or 7 policies that we needed to revise and update per the auditors and our conversations with them. And it takes 2 readings for us to have our policies updated. So in this section right here, number 2, this is the first reading. You can go down through and take a look at those. And feel free to ask any questions you might have. It might be something so simple that it's just a couple small words. But like when you look down here, if I change tobacco use in the administrative policy, I also change it in the professional policy, I change it in the classified staff policy, and so it just kind of recycles itself. But what we are approving tonight are those items we put on February's board agenda, and they're these 6 items for your second reading tonight. Along with those, we have a number of home and community school participants in athletics, and we have one there for your approval. So really, those 2 items for your approval tonight.
Okay, I would entertain a motion then to approve those policies.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Were there any questions about any of them? Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Workman. Yes. Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Mr. Roladai.
Yes. Yes.
Dr. Vernon.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And maybe before we continue, if no audience, those who came for the student performance, if you would like to leave, you're welcome to do so. Thank you so much for coming. You're welcome to stay too.
Yeah, we're not trying to kick you out, but Well, now we should just move right on up as a cozy group, because not allowed.
We lost our audience, but that's okay.
Items of information, I pulled up some areas of interest.
Okay, we had, did you mention the home community school participation? Is that included with the policies?
Yes.
Did mention it.
Did I?
Okay, good. So we're down to curriculum?
Yep, down to your section.
Alrighty, I'm gonna go over most of these just very quickly, since there were so many that I thought were pretty interesting. On the first article, Maslin, Ohio, Jackson High School was they found one of the most popular electives for phys ed was created by Dan Rodriguez in 2017, and he saw, just like I think we have seen, declining interest in PE classes and students increasing numbers applying for waivers. So he was very creative and sought certification as an official in football, basketball, and baseball. And then from his training, he developed a high school curriculum. He said it was a whole lot of work, a ton of time and effort. But he said it was really, it's been a good thing. The students have gained a new appreciation for referees and officials and for how hard their job is. And the students also like the $25 to $30 an hour that they can make if they get certified to work on the weekends. So I thought that was pretty creative. The second article is about Kings Mill, Ohio local high school. And they also have a popular elective, and it's on employability. It's a course that teaches soft skills, practical skills, such as car maintenance and promoting career pathways and it's a hands-on alternative to college. And the goal is to teach skills they can use regardless of the career path that they take. And then the third article